What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamer Dad channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So, the announcement for the Division 3, did it come a little bit too late, or was it just a timely announcement? In my opinion, I don't know how to even react to this question of mine. In fact, when I asked it to myself, I thought, man, I don't even know how to deal with this because there are many things that we have to consider. Number one, if you actually consider the fact that Ubisoft Massive is usually very close-chested with any information that they have, you realize that, okay, possibly it was the right time for them to announce it. Because think about it. As much as I may say, okay, maybe it was a little too late because of other factors like Heartland and Resurgence, maybe the developers were taking the wise step to ensure that the check cleared before they made any announcements. And when I say the check cleared, I mean that the budget was available, the green light was available, and everything was available for them to move forward with the production of a Division 3 game. That's probably where I see things. Possibly, they wanted to announce it at the moment that they said they weren't going to, first of all, continue with support for the Division 2. Many of you remember that. They said, oh, that was the end of the story with Fallout dying. But I think they realized, hey, the audience and the community was probably not going to resonate too much with that. So they decided, okay, let's go ahead and, push out some content over the course of a year or two. But again, I start to scratch my head and go, well, that's just too long. They could have announced it at any time, in 2022, but they decided to wait to all of this time in 23 before making the announcement. So when you kind of think about it, it's really interesting overall. And you have to ask the question is, how much more Division can the community, continue to play while waiting for this game? It's very interesting to also think, when is a Division 3 game going to be released? Some people have said, the Division 3 game, it's going to be a game that's going to be coming down the road. We're not going to see it till at least 2026 and all of that. But ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. I think we are probably missing a pattern that we saw that we have not really kind of put into the archives. And that is how fast the distance or the timeline was from the announcement of Ubisoft's Star Wars game to its delivery, number one. Number two, Julian Garrity's role in the production of the Star Wars game as well as the Division 3 game. Let's break this down. The Star Wars game was pretty much announced somewhere around 21-ish that Ubisoft's Massive was working on it. Because in 2020, Warlords of New York came out. So I think around 2021, it may have been later, but help me out if I'm missing something, ladies and gentlemen, or maybe even early 2022. I can't remember. But from that time to even the Q1, and not Ubisoft's Q1, but regular Q1 of 2024, that's a really short amount of time. So it means that they were probably working on this game significantly. Julian Garrity seemed to have just kind of gone on hiatus after the Division 2 was released. And I think they were working on the game extensively. They were making progress. As the Avatar project was going on, there was already a team in place, Massive having about 700 devs, other studios who can also help them with whatever work they need. Seeing that this is the case, my hypothesis over the last few years has been that Yannick is, in my opinion, the person who was probably next in line to be a creative director for another project if we follow Ubisoft's own pattern that we've seen from the Division 1 days. And what I mean by that is Division 1, Magnus Jensen was a creative director, and then he moved on to Avatar, and then Julian Garrity, who was his associate, creative director, moved into the creative director role for the Division 2, and then was moved on to the Star Wars project, and then the associate creative director for Division 2, who was Yannick, in my opinion, is more than likely going to be the creative director for the Division 3 project, while Julian Garrity is going to be in a role of an executive producer, having seen that he's delivered or will be delivering 2 games in total for Ubisoft from the creative director role. So I think this is probably the pattern that we're going to go ahead and see. When you kind of chuck all of this together, it starts to maybe ring that the Division 3 might be closer than we may envision. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not crazy to actually think this. It's not out of the question to think this. Because how much more Division 2 can you play while you wait? How much or how many, in my opinion anyways, what is the scale, what is the market, what is the interest going to look like by the time the Division 3 game is coming out? There is the core audience, there's a dedicated community, who continue to engage in the game, PvP or PvE. And then when Heartland, or I don't even know where that game is going to even really go, how is all of this going to go? Because regardless of the fact, when Heartland hits the shelves, its distance or its timeline from when it's released to when the Division 3 releases is going to be short, seeing that as we are still speaking till this day, Heartland is not yet a published video game. If we hit December and we don't have Heartland, or if we hit Q1 of next year and we don't have Heartland, that timeline continues to be shortened because Ubisoft Massive is going to be actively working on this Division 3 game, number one. Number two, they have a lot already in place to get this game going. They have game design formulas, two different kinds. They have game design documents. They have AI already built that they can just improve upon. They have character models. They have a story and a lore that's already continuing. It's the perfect production environment in my dreamy mind. Now, I apologize to the developers who may think, hey, shut up your mouth. It's probably more chaotic and more difficult than that. I'm sorry, but I can't really, see what's going on in the studios. But from what I can see outside, I think a lot of the worst part of the chaos has already been ironed out. I'm not saying that everything is 100% smooth sailing. I'm just saying that they already have everything they need. So the Division 3 game may be coming closer than we may envision. I mean, yes, 2024, it seems like a very, very short time. I'm not even throwing that out there, but I won't be surprised if we actually got a fall 25 release for the Division 3. Is it me? Am I crazy? Am I doing too much? Am I, overly minimizing the challenges that game development, could pose for the devs? Or is this just the reality? Or has there been a Division 3 simmering much longer than we thought? Because I kept asking, what was Yannick doing all this while? What was he doing? Was there a small team that had been creating and curating something in the back burner when the Avatar song was being sung and the Star Wars song was being sung and all of the raids and the other content for Division 2 was being heralded? Was there a team of like 12 people just sitting there and just curating things, and they had the tools to prototype and all that? I think this might be a perspective that we probably have not considered. Maybe someone's considered it, and if someone has, please, by all means, tune me to them. I would love to, see their thoughts on the matter, and I'd love to hear what it is that they have to say. But I think we're getting to Division 3 sooner than we expect, or maybe I'm just crazy. Talk to me in the comment section, though. Thanks for watching. Peace out.